What's going on, guys? It's your boy Old Scrubby here, back again with another video. Make sure to press the like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new, or you'll get coal for Christmas. And if you really want to be a swag lord, check out the ## sweater in the description. And without further ado, let's get into the 12th episode of the 12 Days of Scrubs. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Happy Christmas Eve. And today I've got a story time for you guys about a guy whose cousin ended up ruining Christmas Eve for them. So hopefully it's something you enjoy. Press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your family's gonna ruin Christmas. And without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you're rich, so I'm vibing now. Making out, stack the bread.
Alright, so Christmas Eve is supposed to be a pretty good time, a pretty chill event where you get together with your family, hang out, and all together, you know, just be thankful for each other. And this subscriber that sent this in to me ended up going to his aunt and uncle's house, and their son in particular is a very, very spoiled man. And he was very not excited to be spending Christmas Eve with him to begin with, right? Like, it was a tradition that they had kind of done for quite a long time, but, you know, his cousin was really annoying and just super entitled. And I guess his aunt and uncle, whose house they were going to, had like a pretty hard financial year, so they had asked his family to maybe get less presents than normal for his cousins, just so that way they weren't disappointed the next morning on Christmas morning. It wasn't like, you know, they didn't get them any presents, they just got them less than normal, so, you know, they didn't want to be like embarrassed or make the kids feel bad and anything like that. So obviously they didn't bring as many presents, not parents, whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say. In this particular year, they were doing their Christmas Eve, I'm using air quotes you can't see, on the 23rd, because they had something else on the real Christmas Eve. And, you know, the cousin in particular that ruined this was already upset about that, you know, was going off about how it basically didn't allow the magic of Christmas to actually work unless they were doing it on the real Christmas Eve. And, you know, they were just destroying the magic of Christmas with him, right? And on top of that, he was very, very upset when they ended up walking into this Christmas Eve celebration with less presents than usual. And instead of like just not mentioning it and being quietly angry, he decides to say something right away. He's like, "Oh, wow." And, you know, his mom and dad, the subscriber that sent this in to me, obviously are kind of like, "What's oh wow? Like, what are you looking at?" And his cousin is just like, "Well, nothing, you know, it's nothing. It's great to see you guys. Merry Christmas. It's just, you know, I'm not trying to be a jerk here. It just looks like a lot less gifts than last year. So are you guys poor now or something? Like, what's going on?" Which is already insanely rude, right? Like, if somebody gets you 2 gifts one year, they don't need to always get you 2 gifts forever. And on top of that, let's say hypothetically that they didn't get you presents because they had money issues. Why would you proceed to look at them and go, you guys poor now, huh? Like, if they do have money issues, why would you want to, like, remind your family of that? So whatever, the subscriber's mom is like, "Well, that's not the spirit of Christmas to be acting like that. It's not about, you know, getting greedy about how many presents you get. It's about being around your family and, you know, making memories." Which, in all, kind of gives him this, like, little lecture, which he obviously deserves, about how, like, Christmas isn't about presents, which is the truth. You know, it's a great benefit, don't get it wrong, but, like, you can't really be freaking out because somebody gets you less gifts than last year. Anyways, his cousin just kind of rolls his eyes at his mom's lecture when she's like, "You know, that's not the spirit of Christmas," and is like, "Yeah, I understand that that's not the spirit of Christmas, but isn't it a little bit embarrassing to come to somebody else's house and not bring the same amount of gifts as last year?" And, like, I just don't know who this guy thinks he is, bro. People don't have to get you anything. You know, I think people forget that. You don't have to get anything for Christmas, really. Whether or not they bring you more or less stuff doesn't matter. And no, I don't think it's embarrassing, especially because it wasn't his parents' call. He doesn't know that his mom and dad were the one that tipped off his aunt. But at that point, the spoiled kid's mom is like, "You know what? I think your aunt should probably just take the presents home with her if that's how you're gonna behave. I'm so embarrassed." And she tells her sister, like, literally take the presents back. You know, it's not worth it. He's going to be a jerk about it and be upset that you got him presents, then he doesn't deserve any of them. Which honestly is a good parenting move, right? Like, if my kids started telling my brother, "Oh, you didn't get me enough presents, you suck," I'd be like, "Yeah, you're not getting any of the presents now, dude." And instead of, like, you know, apologizing or doing anything to back it up. The kid just starts screaming. He's like, no, I'm just saying that they should have brought more stuff. That doesn't mean they should get rid of it. I still want it. And what's nuts is up to this point in the story, I'm imagining this dude's like, you know, a young kid or whatever. It would still be embarrassing, but like, you know, I'm expecting there's no way he's an adult. This person was 19 years old screaming about how like, oh, they didn't get me enough presents or buy me enough stuff. This dude's lucky that adults really get presents in their family. You know, I still get some stuff, but like, it's nothing like when I was a kid. I didn't realize like most families continue to just buy an absolute crap ton of stuff for their kids when they're adults. I didn't realize that, dude. You have no right to be getting this mad if you're an adult, though. And at that point, his mom ends up just helping her sister take his presents back to the car. And the entire time they're taking presents back, he's just standing there screaming at her like, Mom, you're giving away my presents. What the heck? What the heck? This is not the point of Christmas. Mom, you're giving away my presents. Aunt blah, blah, blah. Stop. Stop. Don't take away my presents. Why would you do this? And he's literally in tears over the fact that his presents are getting removed. But like, you know, if you're going to be a jerk, then you don't get them. And he keeps asking his mom, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking my presents? And his mom finally snaps at him because he just won't stop yelling. And she's like, because your behavior is embarrassing. That's why I'm taking this away from you. Do you know how embarrassing it is that you're screaming about the amount of gifts that you got? Do you know, huh? It's so embarrassing that you're so entitled that you think people owe you things. And on top of that, the reason that they got you less presents is because you're going to have less presents tomorrow than last year. So if that's going to be an issue, then I'll just take everything back right now. And he just kind of sat there slack-jawed for a second. His mom had never really snapped on him like that before. And he just looks at him and goes, Christmas Eve is ruined, and just ran upstairs, man, literally stomping the entire way, being as loud as possible. Of course, you know, couldn't just peacefully go upstairs and not be with anyone anymore. And if Christmas Eve is ruined because, like, you were begging for presents to the point of being obnoxious, and then people said, it's not about that, you're embarrassing me, please stop it, and you're an adult, I feel like you're kind of partially responsible for ruining Christmas Eve. You know, I understand you really, really wanted your presents, dude, but I feel like everybody kind of has a reason to assume that you ruined it instead. Because none of this would have happened if you weren't the person freaking out about people getting you gifts, just not the amount that you want, which when you say it out loud sounds insanely stupid. Alright, I'm gonna interrupt the video for a second. On screen now is a gift card code. I give one of these away in every video, so subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on free money. If you already do it, you're a legend. And yeah, press the like button or no joke, no scam, your mom's a hoe, and let's get back to it. Anyways, I think his cousin assumed that like somebody was going to follow him upstairs and come comfort him, you know, and be like, it's okay, we'll bring the presents back inside. But, you know, nobody follows him upstairs because nobody actually cares that much. Like, they're like, all right, man, that's on you. If you want to storm out of the party and freak out, then we'll just have it without you. So, yeah, they just go about their Christmas Eve ignoring him because obviously they just figured the entire thing was stupid. And they're like kind of loudly talking crap about him. And, you know, they figured that might annoy him enough to like come downstairs and then they could convince him that he was being irrational. But instead, he just decides to take the super dramatic approach of like every now and then walking out of his room. And the way it worked is like when he walked past his room, he'd walk past this banister and the stairs where everyone was. And he would be like, I wish somebody didn't ruin Christmas Eve by taking away my presents. If only somebody didn't ruin Christmas Eve. I wish my family cared about me. Keep in mind, this is like an adult, and he's not talking to them directly. He's saying it as if he's talking to himself, but like screaming it every time he walks by him, which would be annoying to literally anybody, right? And he's doing this over and over again, and everyone's literally just ignoring him. And so when he realizes that like saying that his feelings are hurt isn't gonna make everybody come run to his rescue and give him his presents back, he decides to literally start stomping his feet in the room above them, so that way, like, you know, they can't enjoy talking to each other. And they try their best to ignore it, but like, you know, at a certain point, it's like, man, this guy is literally hell-bent on ruining Christmas Eve. So whatever, they go about their business, they eat dinner, they open presents, but they do it pretty quickly, and the entire time the vibe is way off, because he literally, the entire time, is just like upstairs, stomping and screaming. Like, you know how he had said that Christmas Eve was ruined because how he didn't get his presents or whatever? Like, nah, he basically just threw off the vibe for everybody else. And so they ate dinner, opened presents, everything felt weird. And usually on Christmas Eve, his cousin sucks, but like they'll stay there late, you know, and kind of stay up late and talk, and it's just like a pretty good time with Christmas music playing. This time though, because he was just so insistent on like being dramatic and trying to get everybody involved in a fight every 30 seconds, they ended up getting back in the car at 8 p.m. and like going home. So ironically, the guy that was complaining about Christmas being ruined ended up being the thing that ruined Christmas Eve for them, even though it was done on the 23rd. You know, I understand it's probably a little confusing, but regardless, he didn't get any presents, and apparently his parents just didn't give him anything the next day either. So yeah, don't be like that, dude. Be grateful for what people get you, I guess. On that note though, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I hope you guys are all having a great Christmas Eve. I don't know how late it is for you when you guys are watching this, but you know, if you are watching this Christmas Eve, I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, get everything you want, all that good stuff. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the video, and on top of that, I would really appreciate it if you would check out the intro song. You know, a link to it will be down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or of course you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. Another great way to get a discount on G Fuel. Beyond that, if you want to listen to some of my story times on Spotify, I'll put a link in the description. Feel free to go check it out. I would really much appreciate it if you want to listen without gameplay, whatever floats your boat. And of course, we've got the Karen Christmas sweater, which may be the coolest merch to ever exist in my opinion, and if you get it, you'll be on the nice list. Yeah, it's the last day to do that. Link in the top of the description. But on that note, guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys
What's
next time.
going on,
I'm out.
guys?
Peace.
It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, you'll get cursed by the ghost of Christmas past. Yeah, that's right, guys. The ghost of Christmas past himself will come in and punch you in the back of the head unless you do the all very important job of pressing the like button. Anyways, guys, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, today I've got a story about my neighbors. It's not really my neighbors, it's my parents' neighbors, but nonetheless, something ended up going down on Christmas night that, you know, might have spoiled Christmas just a little bit. But before we get into it, I am going to be taking the Christmas merch down in a couple days, so if you haven't gotten it, consider it. And yeah, that's enough self-plugging. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I decided to spend Christmas Day at my present's house. We had some cousins in town from back around the Midwest, and I just really hadn't spent much time at my parents', so I decided that it would probably be best to spend all day over there. So, you know, we're hanging out doing our thing, and I grew up in this house with my parents for nearly 20 years, so throughout the day, certain neighbors, you know, are coming over and saying hi because it's been a little bit since I've been there, and I went to school with a lot of their kids. I still know a lot of their kids. Me and the neighborhood kids that were home from college, you know, were hanging out. Like, it was just a chill day back in the house that I grew up in for Christmas. No big deal at all. But you see, the city that we live in grows really fast, so even though I hadn't really been at my parents' house like for a long time, in almost a year, there were still a couple new neighbors that not everybody knew very well. But because most of the neighborhood had been there for a long time and knew each other pretty well, it was just kind of this like weird feeling around this one house that wasn't partaking in any festivities. And like I said, I was going over to neighbors' houses where, you know, childhood friends lived, and, you know, like where people that I kind of grew up with were. So all day we're kind of talking, and I'm kind of asking about the family that moved out, and they're like, oh yeah, the new guys that moved in are super weird. And I was like, oh, what do you mean they're super weird? They're like, yeah, the new guys that moved in, there's like 8 dudes that live there, and they all drive motorcycles, and they like leave together as a group, and they come home together as a group, but they don't talk to anyone. Like, I guess my friend who who still lives at home and like goes to college there was telling me and the other people that, you know, they drive motorcycles, and he's always liked motorcycles. So one day he walked up to him and like tried to have a conversation. They were like, oh, get lost, kid. Get lost. Like, nobody cares what you have to say here. Get lost. He's like, okay. So, you know, 8 men, literally Snow White and the 8 dwarves, riding their motorcycles to work and back every day, live in this house and don't talk to anyone and have no association with anyone, which I thought was pretty weird, but I guess I just didn't really think anything of it. You know, some people are just weird, and that's the reality of the situation. I'm sure you're weird to somebody else. Like, listen, if you like Miracle Whip, you're weird. You might not think you're weird, but I'm promising you that you're a pretty strange individual. Regardless, Christmas is going on, and I'm not gonna lie, I do get a tiny bit hydrated from hanging out with my family and my friends and, just overall having ourselves a good time. And I'm hanging out with a couple of kids that I grew up with, and we're sitting in one of their living rooms, and we hear sirens start rolling down the road, right? Like sirens. And earlier we had heard a big boom, but we just assumed that like somebody had smacked the garage door with a basketball or something. It didn't sound like anything too crazy. So we hear sirens rolling down the road, and obviously in a slightly hydrated state, I'm like, I wonder what's going on. And this is just a general piece of advice for all of you. If you hear sirens in front of your house, if you hear sirens near you, don't go investigate, because it's never gonna be good, like ever. When has there ever been a good time in a movie where police are outside of somebody's house? I'll give you an answer: never. They always walk in and go, your son was hacking Pokemon cards and selling them illegally and is now gonna spend 80 years in a federal penitentiary, like it's never good. But whatever, we look outside and we are, kind of looking for where these sirens are, and we see that they're up the street. So I put on my jacket, all my friends are like, okay, let's go see what it is. So we start walking over there, and as we're walking up, my parents come outside and they're wondering what's going on, and like other people's parents are coming outside and wondering what's going on. So almost as a collective group, we start walking down the street towards this house of people that nobody knows very well. And we get up, and it looks like something out of a movie on MTV in 2008, all right? I can't say the title, but at Bam Margera, Johnny Knoxville, like that group of people where they're doing a bunch of dumb stuff, because there's 8 dudes sprawled out with their hands on their head getting arrested by the police in various states of nudity, okay? Some of them, got a Speedo thing going on. Some of them are wearing shorts. Some of them are closed. Some of them are wearing absolutely nothing, and they're all just kind of sitting there. And on the ground is the weirdest collection of items that I have ever seen, okay? I'm talking a hula hoop, a bunch of glow sticks, empty plastic bags, like the ones you get from the grocery store. There's baseballs, half of a frozen turkey, just the weirdest group of items in the street. And we're like, what is going on? And one of the people who lived in this house, one of the 8 dudes, who tends to be a little bit more on the nude side of things, is getting loaded into the back of an ambulance, and the police are talking to the person who lives next to them, right? So my dad and a couple of the other neighborhood dads go up and ask about what's going on, and they come back, and obviously I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he says basically this. Basically, these guys were not from here. They were all exchange students from a European country, right? And I guess they had decided that since, Christmas is a time for family and they weren't going to be able to be with their family, that they were going to experiment with some stuff you get off the street and ingest, and that kind of alters your thinking, okay? Now, I would never advocate for doing any of this, but I guess whatever they decided to do is slightly known for starting hallucinations, You kind of see things when you're on it. And when you're seeing things and you're on it, it's also possible for somebody to kind of tap into a mob mentality and make things get out of control very quickly, And I guess that this group of guys had convinced themselves that the house they were in was going to explode because all of the gas that was being built up by them breathing too much. So they had decided to stop breathing and spread out throughout the house and take off their clothes, because I guess somehow in this massive explosion that they were irreversibly gonna cause, being naked was the ultimate armor. Like, aha, we have matched you. You cannot blow us up, for we are naked. Aha. Whatever. And I guess they had eventually discovered in their hallucination that they could go outside, and they had gone outside, but I guess half of them were from the camp that they shouldn't go outside because that was gonna make the gases worse. So they started fighting the people that were trying to go outside to escape the gases. I don't know what the gases really had to do with this, but apparently this is what's gone on. So they were fighting in the street, and I guess completely unrelated, one of the families was going to leave to go to Christmas dinner at one of their grandmother's house and pulled out into the road, saw this, and when the guy tried to drive past them, they had decided to throw the turkey at him, and then they started running at the cars. So the boom we had heard was them throwing a turkey at a car that was trying to drive by and then fighting in the street. So the guy had called everyone to figure out what was going on. The cops showed up, but these kids were on some substances that made them resistant to police interference, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, all right? The fruit by the foot that they had eaten on Christmas morning would have made the police officers very jealous because it was red and blue. So I think that this is hilarious, and I'm laughing until I realize something that's not very good. I guess in the chaos of everybody coming out of their home homes to figure out what was going on. Nobody was really paying attention to the fact that all the little kids in the neighborhood, you know, my little cousins, my little brother, this entire group of younger kids had come out. And what did they see in the middle of the road on Christmas? You know, what's the magic of Christmas? Is it Kris Kringle flying away in his sleigh? No, it is a fully grown man in the nude with a frozen turkey and the rest of them getting loaded into the back of a police car. You know, like it was just funny. So the guy whose car they had hit decided not to press criminal charges, figures they could probably just fix it after, you know, when they didn't have as many things inside of them. That's what she said. So all the little kids are obviously witnessing this, which makes me laugh even harder. You know, some people are mortified. What example is this setting? I think this is hilarious, bro, because imagine these kids are going to go back into school on Monday. All their classmates, you know, their teachers are going to be like, oh, what did you guys see over the Christmas break? Most kids, I saw snow. Santa Claus brought me a toy. This kid, yo, I saw 8 dudes that dropped way too much of a certain substance and were absolutely delusional in throwing frozen turkeys at cars. Like, I'm sorry, that's just a way better experience for a kid to have, you know, that's a way better story when you grow up. Regardless, you know, I think it's hilarious, but the parents are dramatically upset. And there's this one older boomer on the street who usually isn't that bad, but you know, I've had my fair share of trouble with just because I have a problem with authority. I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I don't. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey kids, listen to the rules, because I always do. Listen to the rules because it makes your life easier. I'm telling you to listen to rules because it makes your life easier. But you know, I know that because I never listen to rules and my life can be pretty difficult every now and then. So the boomer gets to the front of the pack, you know, and is like, you guys need to get your kids inside. Do you have any idea how inappropriate it is for children to be seeing this, you know? And I know the guy's name, and his name is, for the purpose of this story, I'll name him Richard, because his nickname should be Dick, you know? Like, I'll name him Richard. And Richard, you know, get your kids inside. This is highly inappropriate. And so I, out of instinct, because I am a little bit, you know, under the influence. I'm not gonna lie, I'd been a little bit hydrated. I go, I can it, Richard. So Richard starts screaming at me about how I don't even live in this neighborhood anymore, so I don't know why I think my opinion on this stuff matters, and you know, I'm kind of just laughing at this point. And yes, it is bad that little kids did get to see this, okay? Don't get me twisted. I'm not celebrating the fact that a bunch of little kids had to see that. All I'm saying is, that's a pretty funny story, and one day they're gonna use it to make their boss laugh at work and get a promotion. But regardless, Richard starts screaming at everybody to go inside, so everybody starts slowly making their way inside. I start walking back to my parents' house, and as I'm walking, you know, Richard goes, Ryan, wait up! And I'm like, ah, crap. So I'm standing there, and he goes, do you think it's funny to disrespect me in front of the neighborhood? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, you're right, it's not funny, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, that's what I thought. Merry Christmas, and walked off, and I was like, yeah, whatever, jerk off, shut up. So I go inside and I'm kind of minding my business, talking to my mom now. I'm back home with my mom and dad. I'm no longer with my friends. And in the time between walking inside and starting to hang out with my cousin and my mom and my dad, probably 15 minutes go by, the phone rings, and sure enough, my mom walks out and walks back in with a disappointing look in my face, asking me why I was swearing in front of all the small children in the neighborhood because an upset mother just called and said that I was. And if I did, that's my bad. But I'm about 95% sure that old hag Richard went out of his way to get me in trouble with my mom. And you know what? I'm an adult. I can swear in front of kids if I want to. But I would rather not have to argue with my mom about my choice to do so, okay? It was Christmas. You could have just let me had it. So yeah, moral of the story is, I don't know. There really isn't a moral of the story. I have no idea what I'm going to title this because it's really a bunch of dudes that live in my old street got really high, did a bunch of dumb stuff, traumatized a bunch of children. I thought it was funny, laughed at it, and then my neighbor who kind of has beef with me texted my mom and said that I was making fun of it in front of children and that I was probably being a bad influence, which got me in trouble and made my Christmas slightly less enjoyable. Yeah. That's the moral of the story, I guess. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Today's notification shout out goes to T-Man21. Big thank you for having on notifications. If you want a notification shout out, turn them on, send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby. And yeah, on that note, have a beautiful day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day, and Merry Christmas. I hope all of you guys got everything you wanted, had a good Christmas, surrounded by your family, your loved ones, all that good stuff. But yeah, if you are having yourselves a Merry Christmas, then go ahead and press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Santa Claus will come back tonight and make you return the presents by painstakingly writing a new envelope right after you've woken up, and trust me, that's gonna be basically torture, so press the like button. As you can tell from the title and thumbnail, ladies and gentlemen, today I have a pretty good story that should entertain you guys about a spoiled kid fighting Santa Claus at a holiday party. So you guys know that yesterday was Christmas Eve. Obviously, you are aware of how time works and understand that last night is a time where people get together and party with their families, you know? In my family, I don't see them an absolute ton. It's not like every day, you know, I dial up my mom. Hey, mom, you trying to hang out and go mess with people? Like, you know, I see my family enough for it to be normal, but I don't see my family too much to the point where it's kind of weird. So when I see them, there's a lot of catching up. And Christmas Eve is no joke in my family, okay? Christmas Eve is not a time to go half energy. It's not a time to not bring your best. No, people go hard for Christmas Eve in my family, and my entire family is there, you know? This is cousins. This is uncles. This is, you know, Billy Joe's kidney that he had removed in 8th grade still dropping by because we spent a lot of time together, you know? Like, Christmas Eve goes hard. And one problem with this is I come from a pretty big family, so there's a lot of cousins and stuff that I don't really know that well. Like, my cousin's kids, that type of stuff going on. And I don't really get along with my family super incredibly well, you know, there's too many Rogers, which is a spoiled cousin that I've had that I've told stories about before, but regardless, Roger's little brother, I remember him being pretty chill, I remember him being pretty cool, but I guess time changes things because the kid is an absolutely spoiled brat now, you know? Keep in mind, like I said, when my family gets together on Christmas Eve, there's 100 people crammed into like a normal size house, so it's crowded and it's loud and it's hectic, and the entire time, this kid, Roger's brother, is just sitting there like, oh, I wonder what I got. I asked my parents for an iPad. You know, just being a little bit obnoxious about it, but whatever, no harm, no foul. And like I said, my family goes hard for Christmas, so we have this like Santa Claus costume that one of the uncles will get in and kind of surprise the younger kids with one present before they, you know, are go to bed for the night. Like, that's kind of like, oh wow, Santa brought me one present to look at now. It's a tradition. Kids get all hyped about it. It's adorable, all right? Kids getting hyped over Santa Claus is a good thing. But anyways, so my uncle comes in this Santa Claus costume, and Roger's little brother immediately goes like, that's not the real Santa. Like, congratulations, buddy. You figured out what everybody knew. Thank you. The 3-year-olds are now not going to have the excitement because you need to point it out. But whatever. No harm, no foul. Roger's little brother is still a little bit young, so he still gets like one present from the Santa Claus, you know? Like, it's just kind of like, oh, here's a present for you and for you. And he just gives everybody a present. And it's sweet, and it's supposed to be really fun. And when you're little, it's magical. Like, it's a tradition. And when you're a little kid and Santa Claus apparently comes into your house and gives you a present on Christmas Eve, it makes Christmas a ton of fun. But regardless, my uncle walks in dressed as Santa Claus, and it's not Roger's dad. It's a different uncle. And all the little kids are jumping for joy, you know, oh my God, it's Santa Claus type stuff, you know, just being super hyped about it. And I'm just sitting there smiling, you know, because it's cute. Like, when you're a kid, it's a good memory. So to see other people experience it feels good. It's pretty normal. And anyways, he gets over to Roger's little brother and goes like, oh, and what do you want for Christmas? And you know, this guy generally, like when your uncle is Santa Claus, he has a present from your parents, you know, and when you're little, it's pretty obvious. It's like whatever they were going to ask Santa for. But when you're a little bit older, your parents kind of give him something and you just kind of are aware of what you're supposed to ask for to keep the illusion up. I hope that makes sense. For example, before you go, if you're like 17, your parents go, okay, remember, you asked Santa Claus for a phone, you know? So when he asks, it's a phone. That's how it's supposed to work. And Roger's brother is kind of sitting there. And Santa Claus goes, oh, young man, what do you want? And Roger's little brother goes, I want an iPhone. And you can tell, like, my uncle's eyes kind of twinge. He goes, oh, I have a video game for you. Did you mean a video game? And the kid's like, no, I meant an iPhone. And so all the little kids are starting to pay attention because he's being super dramatic about it. And he's like, does Santa not have what I asked for? And like one of the little kids starts crying, right? The kid is being a jerk. He knew that this guy didn't have an iPhone. And the little kids are like, Why doesn't Santa have his? It's not good. It is not good, all right? It was not the nice thing to do in this situation. So my uncle kind of like pulls on his arm a little bit and goes like, you want a video game, and tries to, remind him a little bit, hey, you want a video game. I'm sure you can talk to your parents about an iPhone. I don't have one, so you need to be a video game. And he goes, Santa Claus is hitting me. Santa Claus is hitting me. And more of like the little cousins are getting upset, dude. And he's just smiling like he's enjoying this. He is watching a grown man in a Santa costume surrounded by crying children. And instead of thinking, oh, that's pretty traumatizing, it's like, ha ha ha, good. The children will suffer. Wow, this story sure is swell. Welcome to Scrubby's commercial block, where I tell you guys to buy merch to support the channel. That's it. Get merch. So my uncle is getting even angrier and like pulls his arm a little bit harder and goes, kid, you want the video game. And Roger's brother, instead of like just agreeing and shutting his mouth, goes, Santa's attacking me, and kicks my uncle in the shin as hard as he can, and then just starts like hitting my uncle, bro. Keep in mind, who's dressed as Santa Claus and that the little kids are convinced is actually Kris Kringle in the flesh, here to deliver their presents, So they're looking over and their cousin is now WWE smackdowning Santa Claus. So all the little kids are getting upset. My uncle is getting pissed, so he picks up Roger's brother and like throws him off of him, and it's like, what is wrong with you? Are you insane? And Roger's little brother goes, oh, look, it's just our uncle. It's not even the real Santa. And so the kids are all upset. They feel like they've been robbed, and obviously we're able to calm down the kids and be like, hey, look, no, this is just practice Santa. Like, we need you guys to practice so when real Santa comes, you guys do better. And, they're little kids, so they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's a logical conclusion. Of course, practice Santa does make sense. Like, okay, because of Roger's brother, I have to have a crowd of 8-year-olds around me trying to explain to them that no, children, it's not like that. This is like fire drill Santa, You know you have to do a fire drill at school to make sure you won't burn down? Yeah, we have to practice with Santa, okay? There's a government commission. We have to get registered and licensed to have Santa appear. It's a lot of paperwork. And like, of course they're little kids, so they're buying it. But I didn't really want to be lying to children on Christmas Eve. That's not my favorite go-to. I only lie to children the other 365 days of the year. I gotta keep my conscience clean for the other one. So regardless, I'm trying to distract the little cousins, and that's when I hear more of a ruckus, and I look in, and Santa Claus and Roger's brother are fighting again. I guess this time my uncle had kind of yelled at him and been like, why are you trying to be such a brat? You know how this is supposed to work. And I guess he was like, whatever, it's not my fault that you're poor and can't afford an iPhone, and started insulting my uncle. So my uncle went after him again, so he's fighting Santa Claus. All the little kids get upset again because once again, our cousin is throwing fisticuffs with Kris Kringle, okay? And you expect if Mike Tyson is your dad that Santa Claus might be a little bit rowdy. But when you're just not expecting it, seeing Santa Claus getting beat up is a lot. So anyways, they're fighting and they fall into the room where all the kids are. Like, we had taken them to a different room. And as it happens, Roger's brother pulls the beard off of my uncle and like snaps it back. So all the kids are now extremely upset because it just reminded them that this is not actually Santa. So I have to go back to convincing them that Santa Claus is gonna be there, I promise, and I just know better because I'm older. So whatever, it finally gets calmed down. I go into the other room with the adults to figure out the drama, and I guess Roger's little brother is refusing to apologize because Santa should have known that he was gonna want an iPhone, and like, it's all his parents' fault for not giving an iPhone to their uncle. He's trying to blame his parents for giving him what he asked for, He was like, yeah, well, I didn't want an iPhone until like 5 minutes before, and then I changed my mind. He wanted his parents to detect a millimeter brainwave from his tiny brain that he wanted an iPhone, go get it and fix the plan before he like had to ask Santa for it. The kid is delusional. That entire family is nuts. Out of all my cousins, all my aunts or uncles, I swear, this family actually thinks the universe revolves around them, dude. So obviously everybody's mad at them, and they're getting angry at us because like, how dare we pick on him just because he's so smart and intelligent. Like, oh yeah, I definitely come to Thanksgiving just to bully my cousin. That's my one goal. I go, my cousin that's so much smarter than me, better head over there and ruin Christmas just so I can blame it on him. And my grandma, for whatever reason, is always like really nice to them. Yeah, I just think that emotions got out of control. He didn't mean to cause a problem. Dude, he kicked Santa Claus in the shin. What do you mean he didn't mean to cause a problem? Didn't mean to cause a problem is when you like accidentally fender bend in the grocery store and write your insurance information on a post-it. You crashed a semi-truck into the side of a Starbucks and got out and said, oops, accidents happen. Like, they are not the same. But regardless, the rest of Thanksgiving, or not Thanksgiving, Christmas, I swear, I'm trying to keep my holidays straight, all right? I might have had a little bit too much eggnog, all right? Regardless, the rest of Christmas was very awkward because they were off in their own world doing their own thing, pretending that they were somehow victims because this spoiled kid tried to fight Santa Claus for an iPhone. Moral of the story is make sure your kids aren't jerks. And on that note, though, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. Turn on notifications. Today's notification shout out goes to the very lovely, incredibly talented, and very hilarious ASDF 1906. Big thank you for having on notifications. If you want notifications, shout out, send proof to my Instagram at Scrubby. And on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a story time for y'all that was sent in to me about a dude's stepbrother just going ballistic over his presents. Should be pretty entertaining. Before we get into it, press the like button, or no joke, no scam, someone will freak out about getting Christmas presents. And without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm getting quiet now. Lay low when you reach, so I'm piping down. Making out, stack the bread.
Alright, so like I said, this story time was sent in to me about this dude's stepbrother from a year ago now. So, first things first, Merry Christmas, everybody. But I guess this dude's stepbrother was the type of person that when Christmas came would, like, literally write down everything he wanted in a giant list and give it to his parents. And, you know, I think everybody kind of has the idea that, like, your Christmas list should be reasonable gifts and maybe something that isn't going to cause, like, your family to go bankrupt. But this dude's list was absolutely nuts. It was an Xbox, PS5, PC, all of it, and he literally expected to get all of it. In fact, he made it very clear that everything on the list relied upon each other. So, you know, if he didn't get it all, he was going to be severely disappointed. And based off just, like, the big items that were told to me, this list was in the thousands and thousands of dollars. And he literally, like, the entire month, he gave his parents the list on December 1st. The entire month is like, you know, if you guys don't deliver, I'm going to be severely disappointed. You know, I've been counting on this all year. If I don't get these gifts, it's really going to be disappointing to me, guys. And obviously that didn't make him the most popular person in the household, because nobody likes somebody that keeps being like, you have to buy me stuff on my list, and if you don't, then I'm gonna be mad at you. Because I don't know what it is, man, but some people just don't understand that, like, a gift is a choice. You know, sure, we're supposed to give gifts to people on Christmas, but it's not, like, they don't have to. Whatever. Anyways, he's telling everybody that he's gonna get everything on his list, and obviously his parents don't get him everything there, because, like I said, this list would have been like tens of thousands of dollars. It wasn't even just the stuff I listed. It was like all the accessories for a PC, capture cards, literally everything. Like, if his parents would have actually gone through with what he wanted and gotten everything on the list, they probably would have had to open a new credit card, bro, take out a second mortgage on the house. Like, it just would have been nuts. So whatever, obviously he comes down on Christmas morning and there's a lot of presents there. It's not like his parents didn't get him anything. And he immediately starts counting all the presents, and he has a copy of his list, and he's going through counting, and his parents are kind of like, you know, what are you doing? And he gets to the end of the list and he goes, I asked for 85 things and there's only 32 gifts here. Why isn't there enough gifts for everything that I got? And his parents are kind of surprised, right? And obviously, like, this behavior would be annoying no matter what. But it's at this point that I find out that this is this dude's 27-year-old stepbrother who's been living at home ever since he graduated. So his parents are kind of like sitting there reeling, like taking this in, literally reeling, not being able to say anything. Because imagine a 27-year-old that's been living with you, you know, ever since he graduated college, is telling you that you ruined Christmas because you didn't get him all his presents. And the first thing he did when he came downstairs was count. You'd be like, is this 20 years ago? You know, are you a 7-year-old? And his parents, instead of being like, you're right, we'll get you the gifts, are like, dude, you have got to be kidding me right now. I would be mad if, you know, your younger brother was doing this because he's a teenager. But the fact that you're adult counting your presents and getting mad at us for not getting you enough stuff is seriously one of the most annoying things I could have ever expected. So I don't know what's wrong with you, but you better check your attitude, which was like a warning, right? And instead of heeding the warning, his stepbrother decides to like double down. And he says, I know I'm 27 years old and I live at home, but I need certain things to maintain my quality of life. So when the stuff I ask for doesn't get delivered to me, it makes me upset because now my life is gonna suffer and it's all your fault. If I don't have the newest video games to keep me entertained, what is there for me to look forward to? And you know, everybody's just kind of sitting there slack-jawed. And at that point, his dad starts yelling at him. He's like, dude, you barely work. You're 27. You don't pay rent. You barely have a job. And on top of it, the only thing you ever do is play games. Me and your mom are not gonna like buy everything on your Christmas list. If anything, the gift that I'm giving you is that, like, you know, you get to live here and not pay rent and you're almost 30 years old. That's a pretty good gift that I'm giving you. Which I don't think this guy ever understands that, like, yeah, paying rent is probably the biggest bill for most people each month. So, like, his parents doing that is actually a giant help. Because he says something that is, like, definitely not true. He says, well, you're my parent, so you have to let me live with you. You basically have no option. What are you gonna do? Kick me out onto the street? And that was his justification for why he's allowed to act like this, is like, sure, I'm 27 and I live at home, and I know that's crazy, but, you know, you're my parent, so I'm allowed to do this. And that's not really how it works. And at that point, his parents just look at each other and then look at him and go, January 1st, you need to be out. That's it. We've let you overstay your welcome. We should have kicked you out years ago. Go ahead and open all your presents and you'll see what we got you. And so at that point, he's like, whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean you're kicking me out? And they're like, yeah, January 1st, I'm kicking you out. You're done. This attitude this morning just reaffirmed our decision. We were going to surprise you, but yeah, it's time. You need to go get your own place. And so he starts opening all of these presents that they had gotten him, and like they had basically been planning this for a little bit, right? I don't know if they expected him to go nuts on Christmas morning or if that just made their decision even easier, but they had basically bought him everything that he needed to move out and live on his own for Christmas, right? Like they had bought him all the pots and pans, all the sheets, literally everything. They were like, all right, now you can move out. You don't have to buy anything. So get out. And obviously, dude, they had planned it because they had gotten the gifts, but I'm sure if you know, you're kind of torn about kicking your kid out and then he starts screaming at you for not buying him his entire Christmas list, it probably makes things way easier. Like, all things considered, why didn't you buy me an Xbox and a PlayStation? I hate this house. I'm 27 years old. How do you expect me to like my life if you're not giving me $7,000 a month to spend on video games? You're like, nope, I'm making the right decision. Good luck out there. Alright guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is a gift card. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away every day, so you might as well subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on free money. And yeah, while I got your attention, press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your mom's a hoe, and let's get back to it. Thank you very much. Obviously, his stepbrother is not too stoked about the fact that his Christmas gift is being kicked out, right? But to be fair, they did give him everything he needs. You know, if he's been saving his money like apparently he told him he has, then that should have been a big help. But he's like, why are you guys kicking me out? I don't understand. And at that point, his parents are just pissed, so they're brutal with him. They're like, because you're 27 years old and mad at us for not buying everything on your Christmas list. So obviously, somewhere along the lines as parents, we failed you. So that's on us, but yeah, you need to understand real life if you're going to be almost 30 screaming at me about your Christmas list, because that's just not gonna fly, man. No wonder you haven't gotten a promotion at work. I can't imagine how you talk to your boss when he asks you to do anything. And like, his stepbrother just starts screaming about how, I don't want to go out into the real world. People are mean out there. And he's like just screaming over and over again about how the real world sucks. And listen, man, the real world is not the easiest thing on the planet, but it doesn't suck that bad. It's not like the scariest thing to ever exist in the history of the planet. It can be intimidating. I'm just going to assume the real world definitely sucks if you've never been out there and for the past 27 years, everything's been taken care of for you, you know? Anyways, at that point, the subscriber decides to get involved, which probably wasn't the best idea, but he says something along the lines of like, hey man, it's probably just time to move out. You are almost 30. And his brother looked at him and he's like, I bet you this was your fault. You're the one that told them to kick me out. And both of his parents are like, no, that's not true. He had nothing to do with this decision. But he takes off his shoe, like his slipper, because it's Christmas morning, and just throws it at his brother. And his brother dodges it. And after he dodges it, instead of like running for his life, he starts laughing because, you know, I don't think a slipper is going to do much damage. So he just starts laughing at him, being like, bro, did you just throw a shoe at me? Like, what's wrong with you? And when he said that, the brother just kind of charged him a bit and was like trying to fight him, but has the fighting skills of like what you would expect a 27-year-old that like just refuses to move out and is freaking out about Christmas gifts. I want to make it clear there's nothing wrong with like living at home, right? Like, in my opinion, I don't hate anyone that does that. But yeah, if you live at home and you expect your mommy and daddy to buy you new Xboxes, yeah, you kind of cringe. Whatever. At that point, the parents separated them and like calmed down, and the house had a super awkward tension for the rest of the day. They kept hearing his brother like arguing with his parents about, are you guys really gonna kick me out? And they were like, yeah, you're 27, it's time. And sure enough, dude, they helped him find an apartment, all that stuff, and January 1st came around and they kicked him out, which, I'm honestly surprised. Usually in these stories when that happens, like, it doesn't end up working. But of course, he moves out and like it doesn't have the easiest time adjusting because he lived at home for 30 years and he just apparently blames his parents for everything now. And literally, apparently, every time he talks to his brother brings up how this year would have been a lot better if he got everything for Christmas, and he gave them another Christmas list this year. So, I bet you there's going to be some more disappointment today. Hopefully your day wasn't as disappointing as his is going to be. But for real, even though he's worse off, I bet you his parents are a lot happier. I'm sure not having that type of attitude and energy around makes the house way more peaceful. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. As I said, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys all got everything you wanted today and had a great time with your families. If you enjoyed, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast. And of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout to get a discount on the energy drink. And yeah, last but certainly not least, if you want to listen to some of my story times on Spotify, I'll put a link down below. Feel free to go check that out if you want to listen offline or without gameplay. And of course, we've got the Christmas Karen sweater, which is going to be the top link in the description. Feel free to check it out in honor of Christmas. And yeah, that'll do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Today I've got a story time for you guys. Another little Karen video. I know. You guys liked the one yesterday, so I figured I would bring it back today. Except this one is going to be Christmas themed. You know how it is. It's December 2nd, so I gotta get everybody in the festive mood. This actually was the last time I think I ever had to put up with one at the movie theater. Maybe not. It was one of the last ones. It was in like the last 2 or 3. Regardless, she like started screaming at me because I wouldn't give her free stuff because it was the Christmas season. I don't really know what she wanted me to do, but regardless, it should be a pretty funny video. So yeah, press the like button or no joke, no scam. You'll get punched in the face by a walrus. And without further ado, let's get into it.
It's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell.
Alright guys, so the Christmas season is traditionally really busy at the movie theater. I know like right now, literally every movie theater chain is on the verge of bankruptcy. Dude, spiders are getting ready to make some serious webs in the movie theater screens. But regardless, traditionally it's like a super busy time of the year. And I hated working concessions at the movie theater. Like, I hated it with a burning passion. It was just the worst. I understand that it's literally a part of the job for me to sell popcorn and whatnot, but like, I just hated having to get yelled at by soccer moms if their popcorn wasn't buttery enough, or if it was too buttery, or if it wasn't like the type of butter that they like. I swear to God, I have been yelled at so many times for different variations of butter on the popcorn. And here's the secret: I don't put butter on it, bro. It's literally already on the popcorn. And if you want more, we let you do it yourself, so this doesn't happen. Regardless, Christmas for some reason was also a very stressful time for everybody. I get that. But one day I was behind the concession stand doing my thing, and this lady walks up to me, and she's got her 2 kids and then her husband. And her husband is like looking all annoyed. I say hello to them, and he like rolls his eyes and like looks away from me, as almost as if he like too good to look at me. I don't know what word I said in the beginning there. As if he was too good to be looking at me. You know what I mean. When somebody is just like, oh, this peasant thinks he's worthy of speaking to me. Isn't that adorable? Dolores, please deal with the peasant boy. His mere presence is stressful on my joints. Anyways, the lady starts like yelling her order at me really fast, and I'm trying to hear it, obviously. So I have to repeat it back to her, and when I repeat it back to her, she goes, yes, are you slow? Did you hear me? And listen, first of all, no, I didn't hear you very well. And B, I would much rather repeat your order back to you and you tell me if it's wrong than me go get everything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would always get annoyed when I would say the thing back to them. I'm doing this so I do not make a mistake. You do realize that, right? Like, if you're the type of person who's gonna get mad at me trying not to make a mistake, then imagine what you would do if I did make a mistake. You'd be like calling the Better Business Bureau trying to get me fired for false advertising. This young man simply is just a moron. It just wasn't worth it. So I'm like, all right, it's like that. So sure enough, I get the order right. I go get everything and I come back and I scan everything into the system, punch a couple codes in, and I'm like, all right, your total is, and she had gotten a lot of stuff. Large orders weren't common because this was a theater that happened to have like a couple theaters with the recliner seats, you know, like the luxury theaters. So people would always come in and like try to look cool and buy a bunch of food. But this lady had gotten like a pretty expensive order. I think it was like $87. It was 4 popcorn, sodas, candy for everybody, like all that stuff. Her husband got a hot dog, and it's the movie theater. You guys know concessions is mad expensive at the movie theater, bro. That's how they make their bands. They make like no money off ticket sales. Literally all the money that they make is off little Jimmy having a popcorn addiction and trying to get diabetes by eating enough Sour Patch Kids to literally become one. He heard the phrase, "You are what you eat" at Thanksgiving, dude, and now he's like, if I just eat enough, maybe they'll embrace me and I won't have to do school online anymore. And when I say the total, she goes, oh no, like we want the Christmas discount. And I'm like, what? And she laughs and she's like, oh, you know, like the one where you just kind of like let people have it for free because it's the Christmas season. And I look at her and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, oh yeah, we went to one of these theaters in Texas last year, and after we rang up, we were talking to the guy and he gave us the Christmas discount, so we just assumed we'd get it again. And I'm like, that's fantastic. That was super nice of that guy. I don't know what the Christmas discount is. I have no clue how to punch that into the system, dude, and my manager already is gonna nitpick everything that I do, so I'm sorry, but like I can't give you a Christmas discount. And this lady's like, well, I'm not paying for it. And I'm like, okay. And so I pick it up and go to put it on the counter behind me so I can, like, I don't know, throw it away because we can't use it now. Usually we would take it to the break room and we would get to eat it. So low key, I was like, damn, that is so terrible. The fact that you do not want these makes my day that much better, because I knew I was about to get some fantastic eating on break. But when I turn around, dude, she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, if you're not gonna buy it, you can't have it. And she's like, give us the Christmas discount. And I'm like, I don't know what the Christmas discount is. And she's like, yes, you do. It's corporate policy. If someone asks for the Christmas discount in December, then you need to give it to them. And I look at her and I'm like, lady, I don't think that's a thing. I've never been told that. No one has ever said it to me. And she's like, well, obviously it's like a secret menu thing. We didn't have a secret menu. At this point, I have no clue what this lady is talking about, bro. I don't know if she was in a Facebook group for cheap moms or something and somebody like posted a meme about how you could get free stuff here, but I had never been told to give stuff away for free. I was always told to try to upsell people. I'm gonna be honest, I never really did that because I thought it was already mad expensive and it's not like I got any commission, you know? But regardless, they definitely would not be telling me to give stuff away for the Christmas spirit, but she's having none of it. And I'm like, look, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't want to get fired. They check my till at the end of the day versus the system and everything that I've sold to make sure that, I didn't take anything or give anything away. And I've never heard of the Christmas discount, so I'm not gonna risk my job for it, which I feel like is more than fair, right? Like, hey, I'm not gonna risk my job so that way you can get free candy. If you want candy that bad, pay for it, or do the normal thing, bro, and just sneak it in like everybody else. My God, if you buy candy at the movie theater, yeah, you're getting ripped off. Everyone knows that. Just sneak it in. I worked at one, and I promise you, literally nobody cared. I can't like say that maybe your theater might care. Maybe they will get mad. Chances are the workers are not getting paid enough to come up and confront you, as long as you're not being obnoxious about it, bro. If you walk in with a bag of Wendy's, I have to say something. If you got milk duds in your pockets, I don't care. Like, it's not my fault that you decided to buy candy at the theater when you know how expensive it is. So she like stamps her feet and she says, get the manager. And I'm like, all right, dude. So I go down to the end of the registers where the manager stands and I'm like, hey man, I don't know what to do. I'm like stuttering, obviously, because I'm nervous to ask this guy to come hear this stupid situation because I know what his answer is going to be. And I'm like, they want the Christmas discount. And he looks at me and says, we don't have one. And I said, that's what I told him, but they're not going to take that as an answer. They need to hear it from you. So he comes comes over and he's like, all right, ma'am, what seems to be the problem? And she starts saying that I'm refusing to give her the Christmas discount, and she knows that it's offered here, and she just wants her and her family to be able to enjoy the movie, and we've already done enough to ruin their experience, so unless they want to lose a customer, blah, blah, blah. And listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, G. You can go to any other theater in the city, basically, and I'm pretty sure the guy who owns this has a stake in all of those as well. So even if you leave this theater and never come back, you're still putting money in the owner's pocket, and I really do not care if you don't come back here again. But my manager is trying to explain to her that no, we don't just give free stuff away in December just to do it. We don't have like a secret menu to give away free stuff. And she's not getting it, dude. And she kind of starts raising her voice at my manager, and my manager raises his voice back. And at that point, the husband, who's been quiet and just acting like he's too good to be involved at all, you know, is just like, are you yelling at my wife? All of a sudden, he springs to action, dude. Mr. Facebook t-shirt over here, literally wearing one of those shirts that's like, if you mess with my wife, I'll introduce you to my dice. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't know what you mean. Nobody knows what that means. You're trying to sound tough, but it's very clear that you're not. My manager was like, no, sir, I'm not yelling at your wife. I'm just saying that we do not have a Christmas discount. And he's like, we paid for these tickets. We already gave your establishment enough money, blah, blah, blah. And my manager, dude, I don't know if he had just had a rough day at work, if his wife had been like secretly taking his GameCube files and deleting them when he wasn't home. I don't know, dude, but he's like, yeah, well then how about you just get out, dude, if you've given me enough money. Those no-scopes were super sick, by the way. Regardless, the guy's face when he says that is like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, you know what? You think you're so tough, you want to fight me, you want to do this? Meet me in the parking lot. I'm off at 9. Other than that, get out. And the guy's face is like, are you kidding me? We'll call corporate. And he's like, yeah, here's their number. And he pulls out a napkin and he starts writing down the number. And at this point, the wife and the husband are both like super confused on what's going on, because I think they just thought they were going to intimidate themselves into getting this Christmas discount. And now this manager is like, yeah, I'll fight your husband. Feel free to wait for me in the parking lot. Go for it. In fact, I hope you do. I've had a bad day. And then writes down the corporate number and is like, good luck. Bye. And so now they're all confused and he's like, go ahead and leave. And then, all of a sudden, the greatest backpedaling of all time starts happening, dude. They're like, oh, no, we'll pay for it. We'll pay for it. And he's like, oh, you're going to pay for it? You're going to pay for it? You don't want the Christmas discount? And they're like, no, we'll pay. We'll pay. Well, I'm sorry. We got it last time we went to one of these. He's like, yeah, in another state. I'm sorry that states are different. Did you know that? Dude, I had never seen him, like, go off like this. It was everything that I ever had wanted to say to a customer, and he was just snapping on him. So now they're apologizing, dude, and I'm like, hold up, this guy is now actually kind of being crazy, and they're starting to apologize, which just goes to show you, dude, sometimes Karens just really think that like being a massive jerk is the way to get what they want. I don't know who taught them that, dude. Killing them with kindness is usually the way to go. Like, that's at least what I learned in kindergarten. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna stop the story time for a second. On screen is actually an Xbox gift card. I give one of these away every single day as a way to just say thank you to everybody who is subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead, press that button, turn on notifications. I literally give away free money, so you got nothing to lose. And I have another very, very exciting announcement, dude. In honor of Christmas and whatnot, I decided to make something for merch that I think you guys are going to enjoy. We got the Karen Christmas sweater. That's right. I actually went ahead and made a Christmas sweater. It's on screen now. We got the Karen vibing out, dude. Okay, Karen all around. It will get delivered before Christmas, as it says. I don't know. I just figured it would be a fun little thing to release. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description. No pressure, though. And yeah, let's get back to the story. Regardless, dude, all of a sudden, the dad is like backpedaling. And then the wife starts getting mad at the dad, being like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not going to back me up? Are you seriously going to do this right now? Even though 10 seconds ago, she was the one trying to make peace. Once she realized that, like, her husband wasn't about to fight this dude, she started getting mad at him. So now we're in the middle of, like, this fight. And all of this has started because they wanted to get the stupid Christmas discount, which isn't a thing. No business is just going to give stuff away to you. So now they're fighting, dude. And so now the manager is like, you guys need to leave. You're just causing a disruption. And they're like, no, we're going to settle this. Da-da-da-da-da. We're going to see this movie. And the poor kids, dude, are just sitting there looking mortified because I can't imagine how awkward it is to be in the middle of this. And then, dude, it starts to get really ugly really fast. fast, the wife starts to bring up stuff in front of everybody and their children that, like, the husband did back when they met when they were in their 20s. Something about how he met, I'm gonna use the PG family-friendly term here, an exotic dancer, and had spent the night with her a week before their wedding, and she should have never married him then. Keep in mind, this is all going down in the lobby of a theater, which is pretty busy because it's a pretty busy time of the year, and she's just airing all this dirty laundry, and the kids are just sitting there with their eyes like wide open as if they just heard this for the first time. Which, listen, dude, I do have sympathy for kids that are used to this, but how brutal to have never heard this information before and found out your dad slept with a stripper a week before he married your mom, when you're supposed to be like going to the movies for a Christmas family time. Oh boy, you know how it is, Dad. I sure willikers am excited to be spending time with the fam. Nothing screams Christmas like the movies. Like, oh no, nah, you're gonna find out that mommy and daddy's relationship is a lot rockier than you thought, kid. Regardless, at this point, they're kind of yelling at each other, and once they kind of took a second, realized what was going on, and then looked around and realized that everybody had heard all of that, they were pretty quick to leave, dude. Like, it didn't take much convincing after that. They were pretty dead set on seeing the movie until the husband realized that he was about to have to go spend 2 hours in there, and the employees were definitely going to be talking about it the whole time. Because I'm not gonna lie, before they were even done fighting about it, it had already gotten back to the break room that some dude was getting yelled at by his wife in the lobby, and like workers were kind of peeking their heads around the corner just to get a look at it, because hey, anything that makes work more interesting we're gonna enjoy. So they left lickety split, dude. They didn't end up taking their stuff with them. We did end up getting it in the break room, which was a pretty big W for me, dude. Moral of the story though, Christmas discounts aren't a thing, and also maybe don't marry a dude if he sleeps with a stripper before your wedding, and don't do that to a girl you're engaged to. I just feel like that's a very bad way to go into a marriage. I've seen it work out. Trust me, you don't want to be fighting in the middle of a theater with your kids. I just feel like that Karen energy is usually towards other people, but she really hit the reverse button on this one. She's like, usually I use my powers to help my family, but today I will use my powers to destroy it instead. She woke up today and just chose chaos, you know. The marriage just wasn't doing enough anymore. Might as well let the kids know all the dirty laundry. Jokes aside, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you pressing the like button, letting me know in the comment section down below what you thought. If you wouldn't mind commenting the word Karen down there, it does help out the channel quite a bit, and I'd appreciate it. Yeah, other than that, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. I'll put a link down below, along with the link to the intro song. And do not forget to check out the Karen sweater. It is pretty cool if you ask me. It's pretty swag-tastic. If you got ugly sweaters swag, then, you know, it's even better. If you want story times on the go, I do got a TikTok at Scrubby Stories. Feel free to follow me on there. Twitter at Scrubby_69. Instagram is just at Scrubby because I like to keep things fresh and OG. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and yeah, as you guys know, the famous wisdom on the channel, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure that they're hot. It's just fantastic advice. I'll see you guys next time with another video, and I'm out. Peace. Alright, today's story time is going to be about a Karen who decided to steal this guy's Christmas presents after she invited herself to their Christmas function in the first place. Just some absolute next level entitlement you would not expect out of anyone over the age of, I don't know, 2. So yeah, I knew you guys would love the story time, so without further ado, let's go. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's the comment of the day from the last video. And as I said in the beginning, we're just gonna hop right into the story. Alright, so the guy who sent this to me has 2 roommates, and the 3 of them weren't able to go home for Christmas because there was this blizzard. And they happened to have this neighbor who would always invite herself to things, which is really annoying. But like most of the people in this apartment complex just assumed it was because she was lonely and had no friends, so they weren't going to be mean to her. If somebody comes up to you and starts talking about how lonely they are, you can't like look at them, call them a loser, slap them in the face and walk away. You have to pretend to care at least a little bit. I don't know. I guess you don't have to. It's just the nice thing to do. But whatever. On the 23rd, the guy who sent this in to me is going to his mailbox to get his mail, and his roommate ends up tagging along with him. And sure enough, as they get to the mailbox, they bump into her, and she starts trying to force small talk. And I think force small talk is just one of the worst things in the planet, because it's like, look, neither one of us want to be having this conversation. We should just get our mail and go back to our apartments, and that can be the end of it. Happy holidays, whatever. It just is what it is. But of course, she starts trying to talk their ear off, and they're trying to be nice because they don't want to be rude. But whenever you would talk to this lady, she would just bum you out with the most depressing things ever. You know when people overshare a little bit too much, and it's like, oh man, now I'm just bummed out. She starts saying how her niece got a dog, and the dog died right before Christmas, and now her niece is all depressed. Like, this is the first thing she's trying to make small talk about. And listen, that's awful. I feel bad for your niece, but like, man, that's just a heavy topic to just drop on somebody who said hello while trying to check the mailbox. Oh, want to hear all about my niece's dead dog? Like, no, not really. I don't really want to. And on top of it, it was just like her life was always a train wreck. She was always going through something insanely stressful, usually caused by her not thinking things through too far ahead. And I'm sure there's a lot of people whose lives are train wrecks, but if your life is a train wreck, you should just know that people don't want to hear about the train wreck. This lady just didn't get that memo. You know, you would see her at the mailbox, how's your day? My life is a pit of despair. Oh, okay, well, have a good one. And she wasn't that old, that's just the voice I used. So whatever, regardless, on this particular short interaction that they were having, she starts going off about how she's going to be so lonely on Christmas because she can't go see her family because after the last party, they kicked her out, which is a whole can of worms that they don't even get to open as to why she's banned from her Christmas. But she's just going to be so lonely on Christmas, and she wishes that someone would have, you know, found a holiday party to invite her to or something. And the two roommates that are there are like, all right, well, that sure is unfortunate. Merry Christmas, have a good one. And they start walking somewhere else, like to go back to the apartment. They didn't want to invite her to this Christmas party because they knew that she was going to just like make it weird. And on top of it, that's a weird thing to invite yourself to. Whatever, if somebody's like going to a museum or something and you say you're going to tag along, pretty harmless. Just saying, hey, I'm going to come to your Christmas party, like pretty bizarre. So whatever, they start trying to walk away and distance themselves from the situation, but their third roommate ends up walking up from the parking lot at that point because he sees them over by the mailbox. And he starts loudly talking about how they have this awesome Christmas party planned and they're so hyped because even though this blizzard's coming, they're not going to let it interrupt their holiday. And the two guys that are already standing there are giving him the look of like, dude, shut up, please stop talking, because she's still standing there listening to all of this. And of course, it's too late at that point because she comes up and taps the third roommate on the shoulder and is like, oh, I don't have anywhere to be this Christmas Eve. Can I please come to your party? It sounds absolutely awesome. And of course, now the three of them are in a very awkward spot because before she was just insinuating that she wanted to be invited. Well, now she's asked them. And what? Are you going to tell this person no? Sorry, the spirit of Christmas is dead around here. You're going to have to spend the holidays alone. Like, I guess you could say that, but you guys get where I'm coming from. That's an awkward situation. I don't know what you do in that situation. Probably having another seat set at Christmas dinner. So, of course, the third roommate doesn't know what to do, and he's like, yeah, of course you can come. And the two of them are like, oh man, I wish this guy hadn't have walked up, and even the look on his face isn't thrilled. But like, what are you really supposed to do in that situation? You know, there's really not much you can do. He kind of had to invite her at that point. It is weird that she invited herself. Like, think about this from her perspective, all right? She's just standing there. She's overhearing these people that she doesn't really know that well, like very brief interactions with. And then they talk about a party and she's like, oh, I deserve to be invited to that too. Especially a holiday like that. It's just such a personal holiday. I wouldn't want to spend it with like a stranger's family. Maybe that's just me. But if I couldn't go home for the holidays, there was nothing going on where I was, I wouldn't be like, I'm just going to roam around Walmart and try to find someone to invite me to their Christmas dinner. So whatever, they get back up there and immediately all of them are like, why would you do that? Why would you invite her to Christmas dinner, dude? We all know how this is going to go. Like, it's going to get bad. And he admits that he felt really awkward on the spot and he didn't know what to do, which was probably the play she was going for. I don't know. I just feel like people like this, they can't be that unaware of the awkward situation. They must just know that, like, if they make it awkward enough, they'll get what they want. So whatever. They're like, it is what it is. And they spend the rest of that day hanging out because it's not Christmas Eve yet. And while they were hanging out, they just decided that they were going to, like, put all their presents that their parents had sent them under the tree. Because it was a blizzard, you know, some of the gifts had gotten sent over early, so they just set them out under the tree, and it doesn't really matter, but there's like a lot of small boxes. That'll be important later. And so they had told this lady that they were probably going to get things started at like 6 p.m. Well, the next day, Christmas Eve at 5 p.m. on the dot, an hour early, they just hear this excited pounding on the door, just like somebody trying to basically break it down with a baseball bat or something. And they go and open it, and it's the neighbor. And she's like, Merry Christmas, and just pushes past the guy holding the door, walks in, and sees all the presents under the tree and says, "You guys shouldn't have." And the three of them don't really know what she means by that, but they assume that she was trying to make a joke. Like, trying, not doing very well, but trying to make a joke about, like, oh, all these presents are mine. And so they don't really know what to say, so they just laugh a little bit. And then she goes up to them and picks one up and is like, well, they don't say my name, they say your name. And the three of them are like, oh yeah, because there are presents from our parents, they're not for you. Keep in mind, they're probably half this lady's age, and the look on her face is genuinely being upset. Like, she is genuinely upset that there's not a ton of gifts laid out for her at this stranger's house that she invited herself over to. And when she realizes that none of them are for her and they're being serious, she's like, well, then why are they even here? And the three of them don't know how to respond to that stupid sentence because, like, what do you mean, why are they here? It's Christmas Eve, so there's Christmas presents under the tree. I'm really confused on what you even mean by that. And I especially love to know her logic. Like, what? They invited her yesterday and then they immediately went out and spent their entire life savings on gifts for the person that invited themselves over for Christmas? Even if they invited you, like, if you get invited to something 2 days before Christmas, chances are they don't have anything prepared for you, and there's no obligation to. The nice part is them inviting you to the Christmas thing. You invite yourself to a party, like, last minute, and then you're shocked they don't have a goodie bag for you. Like, that's the vibe, dude. You are the reason that this is awkward. And so whatever, they don't really know what to say to that because, like, it's just illogical to go buy a bunch of presents for someone that you don't know that well. But she, while they're getting ready for dinner, keeps, like, going back over to the tree and looking at the presents and trying to make sure that none of them say her name. None of them say her name, and they keep telling her, like, look, there's no presents for you over there. Like, stop going over by the tree, because it was just being sketchy to them. Not that she was sketchy in general, but just, like, imagine somebody is clearly very upset that none of the presents are for them, and then, like, you're all in the kitchen and they just keep going over and standing by the tree. And so, whatever, it's pretty awkward, and they're just trying to write it out, and they keep, like, every time she leaves the room looking at the third roommate and giving him crap for getting them into this situation in the first place. And then the second roommate goes, listen, I'm not saying that she's gonna steal anything, but, like, I'm just gonna go count how many presents are under the tree, because I'm getting a very bad vibe, and it's just a gut feeling. And he openly admits, he's like, probably a stupid gut feeling, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm gonna go count the presents. So he goes and counts, not because he cares how many he gets, but just because she's given off this really weird vibe. And so, like, 20 minutes before dinner gets set, they start getting the table set, and they start getting everything ready to go to eat dinner, and she goes, hey, I've got to use the bathroom. And I'm just gonna call her Terry from now on, because it's gonna be easier to call her a name. And Terry's like, yeah, I'm just really not feeling that well, I just gotta sit down for a second. And they're like, all right, well, the bathroom's to the right, so go for it. So Terry goes over, and the bathroom is to the right, and the tree is to the left. And Terry kind of walks over to the tree, and they watch her pick up two of the small gifts, put them in her pocket, and then open the door and walk out. And they're all standing there like, what is going on? Did they really think that we weren't gonna notice them go do that? Literally in front of them, not trying to hide it, not trying to be sneaky, not even like the bare minimum shoplifting skills, nothing. Just really walked the opposite way of where they were supposed to go to the bathroom and grabbed stuff in front of the hosts of the party. Like, what was the point of even establishing the bathroom cover story if you weren't even going to pretend to go to the bathroom? That makes it more weird to me. Hey, I'm lost, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, okay, go to the right. And then I watch you walk left. Like, that would just be very confusing. Either you're way dumber than I expected or you're up to no good. But they go over to open the door just to see where Terry is going because she just stole Christmas presents, and they open the door and Terry is in a full-blown sprint down the stairs. They lived on the third level of this apartment. And so this woman, who had literally, like, begged to get invited to their Christmas party, just stole two gifts and tried to flee before dinner has even been served, which is just the most over-the-top dinner guest thing of all time, man. You want to talk about being rude? You know what's more rude than not having presents for the stranger you invited to Christmas dinner? Trying to steal the Christmas presents that aren't for you. So whatever, she's trying to make a break for it, and she gets to the bottom of the stairs, and there was obviously a big blizzard. Like, that's why they weren't able to go home for Christmas. And when she hits the concrete, it's really icy. And so she kind of starts sliding, and instead of, like, trying to catch herself at all or trying to just kind of embrace the fall, she tries to do, like, an ice skating maneuver on her feet. And it doesn't end up well because she starts falling forward, which is the worst way to fall. And she kind of falls and slides. She doesn't face plant super hard, but she just kind of slides, and her face smacks into the bumper of, like, a Subaru that's parked right there. And it's not a serious injury, didn't even leave a bruise, but just, like, the embarrassment of falling and then sliding and hitting your face on a car, like, just all of it, and they're watching from 3 stories above, is looking like something straight out of a comedy movie. And I'm gonna also assume that even if it didn't leave a mark, that, like, smacking
smacking your face into a Subaru bumper doesn't feel great. I'm sure that's not great for your dental plan or whatever. But one of the roommates had started running down the stairs to get down there to Terry and get the presents back, but the other two are up at the top and they're being like, Terry, why did you do that? Like, why did you do that? And Terry gets up and turns around, sees that one of them is like getting closer to her to get the presents back, and the other two just witnessed everything, and she starts trying to play it off as just one big prank, guys. It's a Christmas prank. Oh yes, the classic prank, guys. Come on, how could we forget about the Christmas tradition of pretending to rob someone? It's just just tradition as old as time. It literally broke my brain when I was trying to think about how to describe it, because it's just so logical. Everyone does that. I don't know about you guys. I always love to like go into the local Subway, pretend to hold them up. Oh, Christmas, it's a Christmas prank. Come on, guys, Christmas prank. Absolute classic. I didn't realize that holiday tradition was not known to everyone. And they obviously respond to that by saying that, like, even if it is a prank, we don't really appreciate that prank because it just felt like we were getting robbed. And so Terry's kind of covered in snow from the faceplant and the slide, and she like gives them back the presents, and the roommate who's down there turns around and starts trying to come back up the stairs. And Terry starts trying to come back upstairs with him. And so the roommate turns around and is like, where are you going? And Terry says, oh, well, I'm going to come back in and enjoy the rest of the party. And all of the roommates are in shock because they can all hear this. Like, one is at the bottom of the stairs, but they can all hear this conversation because they're like, oh, she thought she was going to get back into the function? That's not really how it works. You can't try to rob the function and then be like, oops, you guys, you caught me. Anyways, let's get back to Christmas dinner. What do you want the topic of conversation to be during the meal? How you're a terrible thief? Like, I just feel like this is one of those situations where you should want to go home. You shouldn't want to come back up to the party, and they're not gonna let you back in. Oh, whatever, I tried to rob you guys, but the Christmas spirit, you know? I'm sure the Christmas spirit can repair a lot, but it's not gonna repair that. So they tell her in kinder words to get lost and that she's not allowed back into their house. And she starts trying to guilt trip them, being like, it's Christmas Eve, I don't have anywhere to go other than my apartment, like, why are you guys being so mean? And they're flabbergasted once again and literally ask her to explain how they're being mean. They're like, please explain to us how we are being mean when you are the one who literally tried to steal from us just now. Are we supposed to just let that go? We're the mean ones for kicking you out on Christmas Eve? What's more mean? Kicking you out on Christmas Eve because you tried to steal from us, or stealing from someone on Christmas Eve who's trying to be kind? And she just goes on trying to guilt trip them about how they're not being good neighbors and their parents would be disappointed. And they're like, all right, well, I don't live with my parents, so I don't care. I don't really care what day it is. I don't care what night it is, what eve it's not. We don't want someone who's going to steal from us in our house anymore. And at that point, Terry starts to get embarrassed because like people are starting to look outside and listen. So she decides to walk away, and instead of being like quiet about it, starts swearing at them, calling them losers, saying that they're deadbeats, you know, insulting their moms, which is not the Christmas spirit, Terry, if I do say so myself. I don't feel like Santa would ever say anything bad about my mother. Ho, 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 ho! The fourth ho is your mom! Like, I don't think that's what he's got going on up at the North Pole. Alright guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is a gift card code. I give one away in every video to say thank you to you guys for watching, so subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. And while I've got you, press the like button, alright? Otherwise, no joke, no scam. I will be forced to hand over your data to the Karen network, and they will go to every restaurant you eat at and cause a huge scene. Either way, they all go back upstairs, and at that point, the gifts that she had tried to steal are like covered in ice and snow and getting wet, so they decide to just open them. And when they open them up, they're shocked that they would have risked like stealing because it was the lamest gifts ever. Not that gifts should be judged based on lameness, like someone going out of their way to get you something is always nice, but if you're gonna risk it all to steal something, you'd hope it would be worth a little something something. Nope, it was literally like two $15 gift cards to fast food restaurants. So they gave up their Christmas Eve dinner and their reputation all to get their hands on like $30 worth of cheeseburgers. Terry probably is sitting there at home like, oh man, how am I gonna get out of this one? Everyone in the apartment's gonna think I'm weird for trying to steal from them on Christmas. It all would have been worth it if I just got that $30 worth of McDonald's gift cards. I also just can't believe her thought here, alright? Did she really think that they were gonna watch her steal something from their house and just walk out the front door? I don't think at any point the three of them were like, oh, whatever, it's the spirit of Christmas. I'd rather my gifts be stolen and given to somebody else. That's what matters. Terry just tried to
go Grinch mode, but at least the Grinch was good at stealing Christmas. You know, that's the only bright side. I'm not saying the Grinch stealing Christmas was right. He eventually gave it back, and he was good at it. He literally stole an entire town's Christmas. Terry, you're not the Grinch. You couldn't even steal 2 gift cards out of somebody's living room. So whatever, they proceed to have themselves a great Christmas Eve, great Christmas, everything's great. But when they go to take the trash out that night, one of their neighbors kind of confronts them a little bit and is like, hey, that's really not cool, guys. And they kind of ask what they're talking about because they're not too sure what they have done. They've been minding their business, and they're like, we heard what you did to Terry, where you kicked her out in the cold on Christmas Eve and told her that she deserved to have no family. And they're like, what are you talking about? Because they didn't say that. Yes, they did tell her to leave. They told her not to come back, but they weren't about to kick her when she's down and be like, you deserve to have no family. That's just ice cold. Nobody said that. So they start trying to correct the story with this person, and they're like, no, Terry came in, we were trying to have a nice dinner, and she started trying to steal our Christmas presents. And as soon as they said that, the person they were talking to went, oh, yep, that makes more sense. That's Terry. What, is Terry just known for like inviting herself over to places and then trying to steal things? Why wouldn't you guys have tipped off the other people in the neighborhood? Maybe a little bit of a warning. Hey guys, be careful. Terry will break in and try to steal stuff. A little bit of a heads up would have been appreciated. So of course, once they realize that, they're like, oh, you guys didn't kick her out and like say anything to her. She just got caught stealing, and that's why she got kicked out. So most people in the neighborhood get back on their side, and they're like, all right, they would have never just kicked this lady out and said that she deserves to have no family. But somehow Terry managed to have like a very small group of people that believed it through and through, and like hate these 3 roommates now and think that they were rude to this old lady who was just looking for a place to be on Christmas Eve. And that's not what happened. They tried to do the nice thing. They tried to do the nice thing and invite him over. Granted, they didn't really want to invite him over, but still, they tried. Terry just had to go and ruin everything by trying to steal some Christmas presents. And why say anything at all? Like, I feel like if I was Terry in this situation, I would have just kept my mouth shut. I wouldn't have gone trying to make them look bad. I wouldn't have gone trying to say that they were rude when they kicked me out. I would have just shut up, because at the end of the day, I would have been embarrassed that I tried to steal their Christmas presents. Goes to show that Terry is really a next level Karen, that she feels no guilt or shame whatsoever. She's like, whatever, I might as well try to milk this for as much attention as I can. They already kicked me out of the Christmas party. It's not like I have anything else to lose. But I guess their plan now, from what they were telling me, is that they're just gonna avoid Terry. I don't really think that's gonna be possible. She seems like the type of person that manages to inject herself into every situation. But I guess the moral of this first story is it's normal to be nice on Christmas, but if someone is the Grinch and starts trying to steal things, you're more than welcome to like kick them out. And Terry, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Come on. You can't sneak into someone's house and try to take their stuff. That's just crazy. Rumor has it she's living in trash cans like Oscar the Grouch to this day. All right, I have another story time for you guys today that you're going to really like, because it's about this spoiled kid who tried to steal this dude's cousin's Christmas presents on Christmas Day. All right, so the guy who sent this to me that I'm gonna name Tom was at his parents' house for the holidays, and his parents have a big house, so it's where all of the family gets together, so uncles, aunts, like everyone. And he has a bunch of little cousins that are still at the age where Christmas is like the most exciting thing on the planet ever, and they had gotten some RC cars for Christmas. And obviously they wanted to play with the thing that they had just got for Christmas, so they decided to go outside and drive them around the road. They live in a suburb. It's not like cars are gonna be flying around. They can always stop it. It should be no big deal. And so they go outside and they're playing, and about 15 minutes later, one of his little cousins comes in crying, like looking like the world just ended, dude. And he says that someone took his RC car. And so Tom is like, all right, one of your cousins probably took it, your brother or whatever. Let's go see what's up. And he goes outside and he's confused because he sees like an older teenager standing there with an RC remote that he doesn't recognize. And his cousin is like, that's the guy who took my car. And so Tom walks up to this stranger and says, hey man, did you take my little cousin's RC car? And the guy is old enough that he has facial hair growing, and he's like, yeah, I really wanted one from Christmas and I didn't get one. And Tom is kind of taken aback by his honesty about like, yeah, I took it. So he tells him, don't you think you're a little old to be stealing Christmas presents from little kids? Well, just because I'm 18 doesn't mean Christmas is over. There's no reason that I can't be playing with toys too. I should be able to still get what I want. And immediately Tom is like, bro, this is a full-grown adult that is stealing RC cars from little kids because he didn't get one for Christmas. So he snatches the remote back from him and says, well, you can go do your own Christmas, but you're not going to take my cousin's stuff. And you would have thought that he just tried to rip this guy's heart out like Indiana Jones.
taking the remote from this man was the most disrespectful thing he could have ever done, because he starts freaking out on Tom. What are you doing? Why would you do that? And Tom is like, dude, if you want an RC car, go get one for yourself. You're an adult. Like, you can go get a job and just pay for one. You can't steal stuff from people, even if you were a kid. Like, you still can't take stuff from people and say it's yours. Why are you trying to steal toys from kids on Christmas? Like, that's weird, bro. And this guy's response is to say that he does not want to have to work for one, which, great, man. I don't think anyone wants to have to work for anything. In an ideal world, if I could just be like, hey, I want a house, and it would magically appear, that would be sick. That's not the real world. You gotta work for stuff. You want a sick RC car, bro? I hate to tell you this, but you gotta clock in and put some hours in, because you're at the age where no one's gonna give you stuff anymore. And then his next offense is to say that this guy, Tom's little cousin, doesn't even play Rocket League, so what does he know about controlling a car? And all I gotta say to that is apparently about as much as you know about controlling a car if you think that Rocket League actually gives you any real driving skills. Like, in this guy's mind, hey man, I'm really good at Rocket League, therefore I deserve to drive an RC car because I have the most motor vehicle talent. An RC car has nothing to do with driving a car anyways, bro. There's no gas pedal, there's no steering wheel. Like, you're not doing anything to drive an RC car that you actually do in a real car. And even those are disconnected from Rocket League. Like, you're just comparing three different things here. Hey man, I know how to make something round, therefore I'm good at basketball. Like, that is the level of disconnect you are trying to say right now. So whatever, the cousin is like, it doesn't matter what you're gonna say, man, you still can't steal the kid's stuff. It doesn't matter if you play Rocket League or not. And so he tells him one more time to get out of here or they're gonna have problems. And this guy starts stomping his feet, like throwing a fit, saying that this isn't fair. And it has nothing to do with being fair, dude. I think this is fair that the person who got something as a gift gets to keep their gift. But yeah, sometimes life ain't fair, bro. Sometimes you want an RC car and you don't get one. It doesn't mean you can go around stealing stuff and being like, life wasn't fair, because it's also not fair to steal from someone. What, this little kid whose Christmas present you just stole, you're like, hey, life was unfair to me, so now I'm taking your Christmas present. Like, what are you talking about? And all he's yelling about is how all he wants is an RC car, nothing else is gonna make him happy. That's literally his only dream. And Tom is standing there like, cool, bro, then go get it. If that's all your life is gonna end up being, is you having an RC car, that's an insanely easy goal. You should be fulfilled with your life by, like, I don't know, what, 2 days into 18, if you have a job and you save money for like 2 days at a normal job, you can buy an RC car. So if that's really all your heart desires, then more power to you, man. You're gonna be the most satisfied dude on the planet. And now just neighbors from the neighborhood are starting to come outside and see what's going on, because it's a pretty big racket. So Tom tells him again, like, look, dude, you have all these people watching, just get out of here. And the entitled kid takes a look around and decides to try to blame one more time and is like, dude, why did you make such a big scene? Look what you did. And Tom is just standing there like, what do you mean I made a scene? I had nothing to do with this. I just came and told you to not steal toys from kids on Christmas. I don't know how that makes me the bad guy that you started freaking out and now everybody's watching. And the guy stops for a second and thinks, and I don't know if he processed that he was being a moron or if he was just kind of like, whatever, I'm not gonna win this argument and now everyone is watching. But the next thing out of his mouth was like, well, I'm gonna go, but I hope that you feel good knowing that you absolutely ruined my Christmas. That's not nice of you. And Tom looks at this stranger and says, all right, man, I can live with that. Which I don't know what this kid expected the response to be. Like, you ruined my Christmas. Well, you're a stranger, so that's just not really my problem. And you were stealing toys from my little cousin on Christmas. Yeah, they were gonna come up and say something to you. Oh, you ruined my Christmas. Well, don't steal from people and your Christmas won't be ruined, I guess. If you enjoyed the story, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you don't know what to comment and you made it this far in the video, you might as well comment the word Christmas. Just helps me know if you guys are watching these to the end and makes the video do better. If you want to listen to these offline, I do post them on Spotify, link down below. Feel free to check that out. But yeah, other than that, guys, that'll really do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.